still go through this process.
Brave woman, raising brave children. Proud me an immigrant mom, bow to the immigrant mom. Brave woman, raising brave children. Proud me an immigrant mom, bow to the immigrant mom. Brave woman.
Strength. I'm able to still go through this process.
Brave woman, raising brave children. Proud me an immigrant mom, bow to the immigrant mom. Brave woman, raising brave children. Proud me an immigrant mom, bow to the immigrant mom. Brave woman.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition, another session, another segment of the Immigrant Mom. I am super duper excited that we're back on again today with a special guest to share about her immigrant mom story. If today is the first time you are joining us on this platform, my name is Excel Mba Acha Dobgima. I am the founder of the Immigrant Mom. And just in case you are wondering, what is the Immigrant Mom about? The Immigrant Mom is an organization of mothers who are parenting in a country that they did not grow up in. And our mission is to equip, to educate, to empower, the 3 E's. You would hear me say it interchangeably. We are here to equip, empower, educate the mother, because we understand and know that there is a lot that we as mothers from a different culture, from a different country, may be missing, may have in our blind side when we're raising children in this new culture. We're talking about things about discipline, issues on disciplining our children, on scholarships, on financial information, on resources, on business, on career, everything that impacts our ability to be a mom are things that we talk about on the show. We bring up guests to share their stories because we believe in the power of storytelling. Because through another person's story, I bet you're going to learn something. You're going to be validated by your own experiences. You will see that there's somebody else who is going through what you have gone through or are currently going through, and that validates or gives you some form of validation. So today we have a special guest, and she's going to be sharing a lot about her experience. If you would love to join the Immigrant Mom community, please come on in. The more, the merrier. We are on Facebook, over about 600 women, and it's a safe place to talk about anything that you feel comfortable talking about. If you have questions about parenting, if you have questions about your career, if you have questions about your relationship, it's a safe space. You can ask the question and feel free that it'll get answered with love, with kindness, with understanding by women who are walking in your shoes or who have walked a mile in your shoes. Well, this is the time where I normally say, please go ahead and share. Share. Information is key. Information is vital. Knowledge is power. Without knowledge, there's only so much you can do. So go ahead and share this live right now so other people can join us. Your sisters, your cousins, your friends, your mother. We're about to hear a story, and story time is always good time. But before I bring on our guest, I would like to play the little intro that we prepared. I'm sure you would have seen this somewhere on our page, but let's go ahead and have a snapshot of Omolola's story. And hopefully I'm pronouncing her name right. In the meantime, she will help me do that better, hopefully. All right.
Brave woman, raising brave children.
Whenever people tell you that it is impossible, it is because they do not believe it for themselves. Then the real question becomes, do you believe it for yourself? Do you believe it is possible, whatever it is? Omolola Oyewumi believes in the possibility of a thriving and successful career for the immigrant professional, which includes herself. Omolola is originally from Nigeria, an immigrant mom of 3 beautiful children and a wife to her husband. She has had a fair share of adversity, which she overcame, all the while dealing with the challenges of parenting and parenting in a new country. Still forging on to success in her career, she has become a subject matter expert, speaking on numerous stages and working with the ever so prestigious Microsoft as a product manager. But we want to know, Omolola, what adversity did you face? What were the challenges of motherhood? How did you translate your foreign educational background to marketable skills in the United States? What is the secret to keeping afloat with all the demands of motherhood, being a wife, and running a business? Join us on May 25th at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time for a sit-down with Omolola, the career coach for immigrant professionals.
Brave woman.
Without further ado, with a standing ovation, if you can stand right where you are, applaud, applaud, applaud. Welcome, Miss Omolola. Thank you so much for joining us here today on the Immigrant Mom Show. I am so excited. I am looking forward to everything that you're going to share with us here today. Can you please introduce yourself in much more detail to our audience?
All right. Thank you so much for having me. I am super excited to be sharing my story to inspire people, especially immigrant mom. And my name is Omolola Oyewumi. I am from Nigeria, originally from Nigeria, Southwest from Nigeria. But I live in Washington State, near Seattle here. My education background is in computer engineering. I got my BSc in from Obafemi Awolowo University in Nigeria to study computer engineering, and my master's, the master's program, I studied computer information systems and security from Prairie View A&M University in Texas. I am married with 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl. I am currently working for Microsoft as a product manager in security, compliance, and privacy space. I am also a career coach for immigrant professionals where I help them achieve their goals, especially getting into their desired dream company with their desired role. And other things that I do have passion for gardening. I bake. I'm a professional baker. I decorate cakes, and reading is my hobby. I'm obsessed with books. I love the smell of new books, so authors get my money twice, both audio and the paperback, the paper book. So I do that. I love reading, and also in my spare time, I listen to podcasts that helps shape my thoughts, and of course, I get more new knowledge. That's a little bit about me. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you so much. That's really, that's a lot, I would say, just listening to your story or the overview of your story, because we're still to get into the meat of that story. But it just shows a little bit of, that trajectory, the journey that you have taken from Nigeria up until here. And just, for those who don't know, did you have your children here? Did you migrate from Nigeria with them, or you became an immigrant mom in the US? Which one?
Okay, so the journey started in 2016, where I first came to US to have my second child. So my first child I had in Nigeria, my second I had in Colorado, in US here, and I went back to Nigeria to get a visa so that I can come back here to further my career. So that was how the journey started. So I came here with my I came by myself first, leaving my 11-month-old baby and my first son back in Nigeria in 2017 to study computer information system just to further my career. And At the time, so many things were happening. I really wanted to get my voice and of course be at the driver's seat of my career. And I did those, I took those auditions more because I can tell you that it was really um a tough one for me.
Yeah.
That was the first time I will detach from my baby, and everyone was like, "Are you crazy? What are you doing?" And even my, so many voices, and I was like so focused on this is my goal, and I mean well for my kids, for my family. So let me go do what I need to do at that time. So few months into my program here, my program at Texas, my husband came to US, brought the kids, and the next summer, it just came for vacation and got me pregnant. No, let me say got pregnant. I got pregnant. So with my two kids while I was, studying, and he went back to Nigeria. So I became really the immigrant mom because I had to take care of my two kids and pregnancy and coursework and career and pay my bills and all this by myself without any help, So that was my journey. And later on, my husband came to join us, but I gave birth to my third child during my master's program. I graduated with my baby. I got a new job. I moved to new cities by myself with my kids. So it was really a tough one going through that journey.
I cannot imagine. Well, I have an idea, but I cannot imagine how intensive it would have been. At what point in all of this did you say, did I make the right decision? Did you ever get to that point with, the stress of school, with being pregnant, with two little kids, with being an immigrant, that you were like, what did I get myself into?
Absolutely. If no, just let me be honest. It got to a point I wanted to um apply for a sabbatical or like a leave of absence, something like that,
Yes.
because the pregnancy was a different one because she's a girl. I never had that kind of experience, and it's really put pressure on me. And I set a standard for myself, right? And this is in a moment I'm going to share my my academic journey while I
Right.
was in school, but I set a standard for myself while I was during my undergrad. I went to a university that was one of the prestigious one back in Nigeria, OAU. But to really graduate as an engineering student and have upper class, you have to work your tail off.
Yeah.
So I did everything that I could do, and all I could graduate with was second class lower. And I wanted to prove to myself that I am that smart kid. I am very smart. I know I can do it. And I set that standard for myself to graduate for my master's program with 4.0.
Awesome.
So that was the standard I set for myself. Did I get it? No. But I graduated with 3.91. I only had a B. So which was an inspiring, which was this really even inspired me because I told myself I could do it, and I really did it. So it's not even just because I got it, but who I became in getting, the goal that I set for myself amidst all these adversities.
Right. And what you're sharing is really great, and it's a point that I would love for us to just stay a little bit on because there's so much there we can unpack. Setting the standard for yourself in the midst of adversity will help you sail through the adversity because there is never a promise that there will not be adversity. But then if you're able to set a standard, just like Lola is sharing, you will be able to pull through. You may be able to pull through if you have a standard. Because if we're hearing you right, the difficulty was just enormous. Having children in a new country, education-wise, and all of that. And that's really, really commendable. At what stage in all of this were you able to look back and say, oh, you know what? It was a good decision that I made because I have come to the finish line or what looks like a finish line and I'm still standing. And just help, and the reason I'm asking this question is so that any other mother who is feeling so overwhelmed by where she currently is will be able to gain inspiration from how you felt at your finish line.
Absolutely. So I'm going to say two things. The first thing at the moment, two things. And the question was, at what moment did I say, oh, yes, I made the right decision?
Yes.
Several moments, right? Several moments, because two things were my challenges then. Number one, finances. And the second thing is balancing family life with career. My husband wasn't with me. I was the only one doing this thing and just being audacious with my goals. At every point in time, when I look at my goals, I am a big picture person, but I am working on paying attention to milestones, little wins, right? My first semester, I had a 4.0. Second semester, I had a 4.0, right? Third semester, I didn't have because I was pregnant and my pregnancy has few complications and all those things. So it dropped and I had a B out of the 3 courses that I was doing, 2 A's and a B. I was a little bit disappointed, but I was just like not really focusing on the B that I had. But what about my the previous semesters? And even before then, I had an internship with a company and which I got an offer back. So all those were looking like, yes, the dots are connecting, right? Because I had finance issue. I started from very small work at school. And from there, from library, I took on graduate assistant work, and from there to more security work at school. So each of those each of those milestones were a proof for me that I did made a right choice because it was looking like it for me. And eventually when I graduated and I had my baby and I had a job offer, I think I am more grateful because all of those steps actually point back to, yes, you made this choice and you wanted the best for your family, right? And in the midst of all those things, I started looking into getting admission for my husband, like he's coming in and how can he come in legally? Like, even though he's an executive where he was in Nigeria, I was like, do I want to come back? And, he already had a master's, to come back to come and do master's here. But I had to convince him because family is at the center of everything that I was doing. So being able to okay, win him and bring him and him gotten visa coming, I think all of this, they are wins for me, but it wasn't at the same time, but each of this milestone were confirmation that yes, I made the right choice and I wanted the best for my family.
Awesome. Awesome. Talking about family, we've talked a little bit about when you initially came in. We talked a little bit about that. About family, what are you currently going through or experiencing? Because for an immigrant mom, we have different dynamics, the children, the marriage, the career. And at different phases and at different times, we experience different things. What are you currently experiencing that you can share with us as a challenge that you are working through? And then we can go into what you have already walked through.
Well, I can say that define what success means to you, because that was what I did for myself. Not looking at this other perfect marriage outside, but zooming in and seeing my own family. What does success looks like for me as a parent, as a mom, as a wife, right? And defining that, owning it, being about it, right? So the challenge that I would say, well, it's not really a challenge because it's a journey, right? There is always something to work on. There isn't any perfect marriage. There isn't any perfect situation. So, and it's a journey. We are always constantly work in progress. But I can say that what I can call a challenge is actually having a teenager right now that I haven't had before. I don't have that experience, right? I haven't parented any teenage boy before, and it's different from when it's a girl, right? And all these dynamics into the the motherhood or the parenting gives me like a challenge because having a teen and trying to like have that open conversation, trying to like, okay, as a Christian, as a Christian home, we have values, right? Being migrated from Nigeria, Africa to here, we have our value system, we have our culture, we have even biblical principles, right? That we want to like build around parenting in as much as it's not going to be too much or too little, right? Because of the system here. We want to constantly, my family right now, I'm talking about my family, constantly being, having that balance to our training, what we are training these kiddos, right? And just like I said, for every phase is different. Training a teenage boy, training as normal school year, I already had one boy. I have one boy in the middle. And sorry about the noise. Yeah, so, and I have a girl, right? And they are totally different. I hope the noise reduced, sorry.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So having different personality with these kiddos, right? And training them up here in United States in a different state. We've not been to the state, we just moved to the state, and it's totally different from where we were coming from. And being able to hold those values and principles that we hold dearly and the cultural heritage that we want to leave to our children, it's what I can say is a bit challenging for us because not just me, myself and my husband, we just weathering that storm of how to pay properly parent them, in the way that it aligns with our values.
Right. And that's unique to, a lot of what immigrant mothers experience. It's our unique place of being in parenting because we're always constantly trying to find the balance. We're always, at a point where we're wondering, am I giving enough? Am I giving, too small? Am I ensuring that, the values that we grew up with, from a different country, which we believe are good because again, we were raised in those, how are they applicable? And, I'm thankful that you can share that because I feel like it validates a lot of us, even though we, have children who are teenagers, who are preteens, who are toddlers, there's constantly, that notion of what am I doing? Now, more grace to you, and as God will guide you, that you will constantly have the reassurance as you keep on going in parenting, not just your teenage boy, his younger ones as well, and with your little girl. Now, on that aspect of, raising your children, what has worked? What has been a light bulb moment that you can share with someone else who's listening to us of, it was a challenge. And I say was because it no longer is. You were able to figure it out. And I'm hoping that you can share that so that somebody else will be able to glean from what you figured out.
Yeah, all right. So am I still muted?
No, you're good. I can hear you.
So I'm going to say that few things. And just like I said, different personalities. There are some things that were passed to me by my mom that I used, and it didn't work anymore. There are some that I used in the past that worked. There are some that I used that didn't work, that I reintroduced that eventually worked. So all of those things is just like testing waters, because, and apart from we using different tools, resources, techniques, acts, tips to train these kids, we still trust our gut, right? To still do the right thing. But I'm going to say that few of the experience that I have while I'm here is about, number one, having this open conversation. That's what I'm telling you will always, always work. Because even though it might prove maybe hard sometimes, but being able to be patient as a parent with these children of any age, from 3 years, having those conversations and having it open, inviting them to like, oh, I'm always here, you can talk to me. So there are some incidents that has happened at school that the kids will not share, but I will get the communication from the teacher. And when they come home, like, I'm talking more about my my older boy, because he can express himself more. The little one, maybe like when I remind him, like, are you sure nothing happened that's good today? Or are you sure this? Like, I don't know. And when I say it, we're like, oh, I forgot. So some I'm still trying to like, okay, use that and make sure that I work. But with my older kid, what I try to do is to ask more questions and tell him, like, I am open. If there are anything that you want to talk to me about, feel free. So I think it's not the same relationship with his dad, because his dad is like one way person, like very disciplined. But I would like, okay, if you are doing this way, let me go the other way. We weren't brought up that way, like having to have conversation with your dad or with my dad. No, you dare not even look at his face and talk to him. So, but trying to change that perspective to the kids, and considering where we are right now, or where we are in the part of the world, having him inviting him to like, okay, you can speak to me on anything, right? So if I get a communication from the teacher and he didn't say anything to me, and I'll keep reminding him, do you think you have, do you think you've told me everything, or is there anything you want to tell me? Sometimes he will, sometimes it might not, but constantly, not constantly, recently he started opening more, because he sees that I'm not coming from a place of judgment, but from a place of love. And when I'm keep telling him that and advising and doing all those things, I always remind him about him being that kind of support and help for his younger ones, right? So I'm going to say that it's like a practical way. Apart from the discipline, I discipline my kids. And I tell them, you dare not do this, you dare not do this. If you do this, this is what will happen. I show them some videos. This is what have happened to somebody that did something like this, I'm a typical African woman, and I want to like, okay, let him know this is what is going to happen if you mess up, if you do this. So, and of course, with prayers, right? Because we do that, we take them to Sunday school, they do all those things. So those are all the things. Morally, we teach them. In a cultural aspect, we teach them. In the system of where we are right now, we teach them. And of course, we just commit them to the hand of God, because no matter how you think you are doing all these things, the more you are hard, the more you want to like be in control, the harder it's going to be, because there's going to always be that struggle, the control struggle, or the it's just still control, because he wants to, or power struggle, yeah, something like that, power struggle. He wants to have this, he wants to have this. So that's what I would say is a practical things that I've used, and I'm still using it. There are some other things that worked for the big ones that is not working for the small one.
And it's really, important that and the way that you said it is, what I really love. Because from time and time again, we've heard our guests share about the importance of open communication with our children. I've heard it more times than not. But today I've heard you break down the process of open communication. Open communication going beyond just asking them questions. Because sometimes, they're children, they want to be drawn out of their shell. And if I'm using your words rightly, you talked about patience. Because for you to pull them out of their shell, you have to be patient. You talked about consistency. You have to consistently ask them. You have to be really intentional as a mom. I'm just reiterating the things that you have said so that our audience is able to really glean something, because I think what you have shared is very, very, very important and very crucial. That open communication with our children will not happen on the first try. If you pick them up from school and say, "What happened today at school?" and they say, "Mommy, nothing," does not mean that nothing happened. It means that you may have to look at the teacher's report if there is one. It means that you may have to look through their school bag to find out clues as to what had happened. It meant that when you were picking them up, and if maybe a child, another one threw a comment, or you saw in his demeanor or her demeanor, that is a clue for you to pick up on. And this is really good because I want us to learn about open communication. A lot of us immigrant mothers have come from communities, from backgrounds, from families where we did not have that. It was an answer, question, answer kind of. And if a question was asked and there was no answer, it was the end of that conversation, but not so, because we don't need any reminders to know that we're raising children in a different generation. We're raising children in a different time. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think, I would love for others to opine on what ways are you implementing in your open conversation. We've talked about motherhood, Lola. We've talked about your journey when you just came. I want us to dive into career, because you're a coach for immigrant professionals. And a lot of us who have come here have a goal to succeed. The American dream, in whatever way or fashion that we dream it, either career or either business. And here you are in your phase of life, coaching other professionals. For you to be a coach, it means that you had recognized some pain points that immigrants experience in their career profession. What are those pain points that caused you to level up for yourself before becoming the coach that you are?
Fantastic question. And I can't exhaust this, this question, I can't exhaust it because it has many parts. It really has many parts. And I'm going to say that for me to really overcome some of my struggles, which okay, let me list some of them. As immigrant mom, parent, career professional, I had a language barrier. I have cultural adjustment that I need to make. Finding employment was a big one for me. Balancing family and responsibility, just like I shared a moment ago, was something that I struggled with. And finances, right? I had to pick up some jobs, not like from school, like from other jobs, like plating, some other jobs like doing chairs for people, just for me to like have extra, money while I was at school. I had a baby then, right? Not my third born, but my second, which was around 14 months and all those things. I need to put him in daycare, and I had to struggle on finances and all those things. So I'm going to say all those things I was able to achieve it. Just like I said, it was a work in progress. It wasn't that boom, I just one day I overcame all this. So having overcome and going through that process, researching and researching for information, for how to cut my bills, for how to level up my skills, because just like you said, fulfilling that American dream, I really do not want to just survive. I really want to thrive. How can I move from that survival mode, the striving mode, to thriving? And looking at, and this is what I teach my other people that I help support as immigrant professionals. The process that I went through was, if I really want to stand out, what will it take me? Having gone through all those things, some of them, even my accent, I really had to go join Toastmaster to go and polish my presentation and do some of those things. I look at the roles that are out there. What skill did I have? What can I do more? I look at the preferred requirement and begin to set goals to meet them. So a typical one would be, I want to get into a role of technical program manager or account manager or engineering engagement management, something like that, around technical program manager space. I look at my top 5 companies that I really desire want to work in. It might be hard. It might be really hard because initially when you are in that, when you want to climb a step, you are at that bottom. You look at people there up there. And one thing that helped me, or one thing that I was scared about, is about that, is the self-awareness, right? I know I'm not here right now, but I'm going to get there. That's aside. But looking at where I need to get to, 5 top companies. In my case, I choose tech companies. What 5 tech companies that I really want to work? I came down to the role that I want in, like in Microsoft, this is the role. In Amazon, this is the role. In Google, this is the role, right? Got that role and look at the requirement for me to gather into that role and look at the preferred requirement. And I was really focusing on the preferred requirement because I really want to stand out. I'm not competing against millions of people as an international student, right? I am an international student. I pay out of state fee. I did all those things. I have so many people I'm competing against, right? For me to achieve that American dream.
Right.
So it was hard. Looking at the preferred requirement, it took some years. Yes, it took some years for me. If you want to get some certification, you first of all need to go do some prerequisite. Then you do the training before you can even write some certifications, right? So it still boils to being patient about me getting there, one. Number 2, getting a clear goal of what exactly did I want and where do I want to work at. And these are the things that I teach. Once I get a DM or IM or any request from, from immigrant professionals, my question is about, what do you want? Like, I just want to know. You cannot just be everywhere. We really want to do that clarity in goals. Get the double down on the top companies you want to work on. It doesn't necessarily have to be the giant company. It might even be a startup, but really have to get clarity on that. And that was what I did in my case. And I began to work, do that reverse engineering, look at the preferred requirement and begin to work my tail off to get those requirements, to position myself when opportunities open up. And, another thing that I did was to extend my network. So, and in my normal me, even though I talk, I do like to socialize, it's uncomfortable to really reaching out to hiring managers, to recruiters, right? Like, oh, this is what I do. Have that one pager that talks about, what I do and what impact I've created. But I really have to come out of that comfort zone and reach out, meeting people, sending friend requests. Some people will ghost you, and it's okay. But what I do is I put more intensity about the number of requests that I send out, right? So if I really want maybe a particular role, I really want to meet these people or maybe connect, on LinkedIn, rather than sending connection requests to maybe 2-3 people, and I sent to 20 people in that role, in that company, right? Out of the 20, maybe 2 people answered me, and it's fine. I'm okay with that. right? And I have that conversation. What does success look like? What does it look like here? And I interview them before I even try to even apply. You understand? So these are some of the things that I did in my own. I did that reverse engineering, looking at getting clarity on my goals, working my way up to get the preferred requirements so that I can distinguish myself from millions of people applying for that role, and as well networking, really expanding my networking.
Right. I will open this up for the audience to ask questions because I believe that a lot of us have questions regarding our careers and how to really position ourselves for success. Now, on what you have just shared, you have an approach, a slow kill approach to getting what you want, identifying what it is first and knowing what it will take to get there. But one thing that I want you to talk about a little bit to moms and other immigrant professionals who are watching us today is the aspect that really brings a lot of us down. It discourages a lot of people from even trying, and it is the feeling of inadequacy. A lot of times the immigrant professional, the immigrant person, individual will feel inadequate, will feel that because they have had a foreign background, a foreign degree, have an accent that is different from most of the people around them, that it translates to meaning that they are inadequate. Have you worked with people that have had to overcome the sense of inadequacy that stops the immigrant professional from even trying? And if you have, what advice can you give and share that will help the immigrant professional from disqualifying themselves even before they ever try?
That's a great question. And I can tell you that in my curriculum, or when I even want to start this conversation with people, the first thing I do really address is that mindset, the belief system that has been, for so many, for only God knows how long, right, has been with this person. So first address that. And second thing is the self-doubt, because everyone has it. I have it. It tells that there are voices in my head. It tells me, who do you think you are? Right? And when I begin to talk to people about this, what I do want to do is to talk about that self-affirmation, right? About who do you think you are? Who are you? Who are you to even go for this position or to even apply for this role, right? So it's more about first the self-doubt, addressing that, the belief system, addressing and helping them, shift that belief system. And it's not just about, yes, they can do it, but the proven system, sharing testimonials, sharing my own life story about this is where I was, this is where I am, this is where I'm going. That transformation, painting that transformation is something that, yes, it's always what. And of course, just like I said, the belief system, mindset shift, self-doubt, really addressing it, imposter syndrome, right? A lot of us, we have done great things, but we don't look at that. And this still happens to me, right? With my performance review, I had great stuff. People like, oh, Lala, I've done this, I got recommendation. But there's this one just critical, what's it called? Critical feedback, something like that. They call, constructive feedback. Yeah. But to me, it's not, I was just like, okay, how? Why? It really shifted my gaze from the other great recommendation and feedback that I got into just this one. And I was almost, not being grateful. But immediately I changed, my focus, like, okay, I got this. I'm going to, address this one. I'm going to work on it, but let me celebrate my wins as well. So the same thing happens to people that really want to, like, okay, immigrant professionals that just moved. Just like I told you, my husband was a senior executive back in Nigeria. It's okay, but coming down here and just come and do masters and be paid, graduate assistant or just for that phase, it's really demoralizing, and it really needs a lot of, encouragement, and a lot of self support, a lot of affirmations, and all those things. So that's what I do tell people. It's about not just living and being in that survival mode for a long time. Identify that it's a season. It's going to come. Be patient, do your best, and it's going to go, because seasons comes and go. So I help them with their belief system, reshape their thinking, help them with perspectives, and paint a transformation picture for them, get clarity in their goals, because just like it is bespoke, is what success means to me is different from what it means for someone else.
Right.
So for each individual, define what success means and helping them get from this A, where they are, to B, where they really want to be.
And I'm sure a lot of people will want to know how to work with you, for those that are struggling on some of the things that we're talking about. So we're going to get into how you can reach Lola, because I know a lot of people are wondering, they're either having some issues or challenges at the workplace that they would like to have more conversation with you. But before we talk about that, I want you to talk a bit about finding your voice. You mentioned it a little bit, because getting the job is one thing for the immigrant professional. It's an uphill task. You set out your goal, you identify the preferred criteria, you work to meet it, you do the interview, you get the job offer. Now there's the persona that you have to adapt on the job to be able to be successful at it. And finding your voice is one of those. I think we have come from a culture, a lot of us, where your work speaks for itself. But I think this culture, your work and your mouth speak for itself. Can you talk a little bit about how you have helped and what is your approach in helping those you coach find their voice in the workplace?
Okay, so this is not an easy task, because two things: personality difference differs, right? And just the way I will approach something, being in that adversary role or consultation role, helping them, like, okay, these are the things you can do, these are the processes, this is how you can go about it, and how the person is really delivering it. They are two different things, right? Personality is a big part of it, and there isn't any good or bad personality. We just constantly continue to work on ourselves. So what I'm going to say is, number one, be your best advocate. There is something that we used to talk about in the ERG and within our organization. It's about the best advocate is you for your career. Even though there might be business deliverables, there might be some things that needed to be done, project that needed to be, closed, and all those things. You are still in charge of your career. And that is where having a coach comes from. That is where having a mentor comes from. That is where having a sponsor comes from. That is where having allies come from. So, and all this is still around when you are owning your voice. And I have several examples, but because of privacy, I'm going to want to share some things, but I will touch on them. There are some situations that happens, maybe because, and this is a sensitive conversation around having bias, unconscious biases, and or because they are minority, they are being overlooked, and other things like that. In those kind of conversation, it's about taking some step back and looking at, just like I said, in this kind of conversation, what do I want? Do I really want to be at that person? Being a best advocate for yourself might be one, asking more questions. This happened to me, coming from coming from a different company, from a different culture, organizational culture, from a different role, from a different state, something like that, to this kind of role. finding your voice for me is asking more questions, researching, researching, asking more questions. This is what I teach even my other people as regards dig in and ask more questions, get more understanding, because this other person that is trying to like, okay, say this thing, maybe is having a different perspective. Having that conversation, I'm telling you, it's a difficult one. I've had few difficult conversations, and sometimes I just give in. Like I was just like, okay, I don't think I have the energy to pursue this. And and of course we give base is a base by base cases, different people, different personality. But what I can say in finding your voice is about asking more questions, looking at what you deserve, what you really want to bring out of whatsoever situation you are in, and being about it, talking about it, speaking up, raising your hand. And, by doing this, even though sometimes we win, sometimes we learn, right? So we don't always win all the time, but letting it know that, yes, I spoke up or I raised this thing is what I would say to me, and how I've been helping other people, find their voice.
Right. Thank you for sharing. Lola is a program manager at Microsoft. And for those of us who know, Microsoft is a well sought after employer, like sought after in the sense that it's prestigious. When you get a job, they look out for the best of best. So she has, she has a trajectory to prove the things that she's sharing with us today. And if I may add to what you shared, as an immigrant professional, I want you to believe in your value, because I think that that's the bedrock for everything, for finding your voice, for raising your hand, for taking a seat at the table, for speaking up, is when you truly believe that whatever it is you bring to that company is of tremendous value. In fact, you are more valuable than the paycheck, meaning that they're paying you just a fraction of the value that you bring them. And so your value is not equated to whatever it is they pay you. So when you know that you are valuable, your voice will begin to be heard, because you will come in there knowing that you bring purpose, you bring good, you bring value to that table. Now, those that would love to work with you closely, that would love to be coached, that will want you to be a sponsor or a mentor to help them navigate after the job offer, what programs do you offer and how can they get in touch with you? You are muted.
All right. Yeah, so because of the nature of where I work, and as a a security person, what I do, I am using this, of course, to support my fellow immigrants. So I kind of do more of group than one-on-ones, because my time is very, very con competitive. So I have, for what is coming up in Grow to Become Academy, we have workshops, but I kind of try to like do more cohort, have like people do from workshop, then to do intensive um program with the team, having that community, gleaning from each other, and it's on a quarter basis. So there is one coming up. I'm having a workshop coming up very soon. I picked some of the, there was a date picked before, but now we have to reschedule till June. So I can send you the link, and you can find more on even on my website, omololaoyewumi.com. And I have a giveaway that am I permitted to share that?
Sure, yes, definitely.
Yeah, so I have a free book where I give immigrant professionals that can help them at least jumpstart and get like high level of what are 10 steps of how they can achieve their dream jobs. I give this to immigrant professionals. They can use it, and they can dig in more into each of these points. But that's something that I first of all give away, and Even if you don't work with me, you find that valuable, you can use it and continue to use it. And of course, it's going to give you more results, because those are the things that I've documented that have worked for me. So that's one way that it can work. And of course, I published 2 books. The first one is on productivity, and it helps immigrant professional account for every hour of their day and prioritize what is so important to them, the 3 most important goals that they must achieve in a day. So you can get that on Amazon, and I can share the link as well. The second book that I have written, that which can be inspiring to everyone, is about my journey, how I grew up and how I got to where I'm going. And it's a journey, right? So the name of the book is Journey of Becoming. That's where I had detailed of my journey and what I went through, my story of grit, resilience, perseverance.
Awesome. The links to the books are going to be in the comments, so look out for them. I'm just posting them right away. So you can go to Amazon, and you can go to Lola's website to be a part of the academy, the workshop that she has planned, because this is really crucial. We spend so much time at work, and you want to spend that time in a wholesome way, because when you come back home, you want to be able to have a great time with your children, not transferring any aggression or feelings of, pain, or should I say feelings of being subdued or depressed at the workplace. So it's so important for us as immigrants to strive to have a thriving career, because when we come back home, it also would affect the flow that we have with our children. We have just a few minutes left, Lola, and there's this one question that I want to ask you. Now, it's my personal question, and apologies for those in the comments whom I was not able to get to your question, but here, let me ask this question for every African immigrant professional. Africa was colonized, or many African countries were colonized by the West. European countries, most of them. So there is the aspect of dealing with who looks like the colonial master, that looked like the colonial master. And this is the Caucasian race. And please, for all intents and purposes, this is a discussion. Nobody should take offense. A lot of the times, people say each time they have to face a Caucasian male at the job site, they feel a sense of intimidation. They cannot quite trace where and why, but only to the fact that this white Caucasian male represented the colonial master that subdued a lot of these countries that the African immigrant professional is from. Have you dealt with walking that analogy and helping people overcome this after effects that colonialism has had even today in their profession?
Well, I'm going to say, and because this is an emotional one for me, because every time I remember or, touch on the slavery and all those things, I'm always emotional around how fellow human treat other human, right? And it's not just because it's a job search, it's just it's in our mind, and it can't go away. But what we tell ourselves, me, is as a believer, as a Christian, I tend to, and even as a positive person, I tend to look at the positive side of things, how technology, how the knowledge, how the evolution of technology and all those things have brought opportunities to us, right? And that's where I come from. So I am not intimidated, just like what you said the other time, having the value of who I am and whom I am, and having the understanding about what is the worst case that can happen here. The worst of the worst is I did not get this job, and that's it. And because I know whom I am, which I am of the Most High, I have this abundance mentality around more is coming my way, right? So looking at any man in the authority, senior position, executive, and all those things, thinking about my value and thinking about what I'm bringing, whom I am, and of course, just like I said, being positive about the other good things that have come from all this westernization makes me to like, okay, just focus on the good side of things. Even though those voices comes, we remember some of those pictures, but those are the past. Let's look at what are the positive things, and that's my own experience, rather than focusing on limiting myself on what I've done in the past, but looking at, and there are still biases, they are still there, because we are human, because we are minority, because we are all those things, but constantly putting myself at, the edge, sharpening my edge and positioning myself for opportunities that are out there.
Thank you so much. For everybody else that's watching who, is able to, relate with some of the things that we're talking about, we would love to know in the comment section, how are you dealing with all of this? How are you, what are your experiences? And thank you so much, Lola, for sharing that. We have to walk away from the past, let bygones be bygones, even though the effect and the wounds still linger for generations onward. Just being focused on the value that we bring at every particular time. And let me also add to what she has shared, that a lot of the times the people that we think, these people that we think are more intelligent than us, are looking to us and saying, oh, what a very intelligent woman. What a very smart and resourceful woman. So don't disqualify yourself because you believe that your background is inferior. No, it's not. It was ignorance, I would say, and malice that made people so many years ago underlook particular people from a particular race and particular continent. But it's not a true statement that we are in any way inferior or not as intelligent or not as creative. They're looking at you and saying resourceful, creative, determined, resilient. See how far she's come. You don't shoot yourself in the foot by disqualifying yourself. But thank you, guys. One last word of wisdom that you have before we go that you would love to share.
Yeah, I want to say that keep believing in yourself. Keep believing, embrace your journey. As an immigrant mom, career coach, as an entrepreneur, as immigrant professional, embrace your journey, and never be afraid to pursue your dreams and aspirations. Seek support when you need them, build those networks. Please be intentional about building networks, because this will help you constantly, consciously, continuously learn, relearn, unlearn, adapt. Remember that with perseverance and determination, you can achieve great things. Take care of yourself, find joy in your journey, and celebrate your successes, no matter how small they may be. Celebrate your wins. Thank you.
Look at the smile on my face. This has been amazing, amazing, amazing. If you are there in the comment section, you know what we do. We always love to show love to our, guest speakers because they've shared and poured out to us their stories. So please, let Lola know in the comment section how much, what she has shared has really impacted you. She will be going back into the comments to respond to your questions. The book links are there, the links to the academy. So if you need help, don't shy away from saying, I need help with career coaching. This is a great opportunity for you. Well, this is the end of the show. Once again, this is the Immigrant Mom. I'm your host, Ixtel Mbaaja Dogima. We come on every time we have a powerful story. If you have a powerful story, if you have a story of resilience, of determination, of something that you were able to figure out as an immigrant mom, please come on here. We want to hear all about it because we strongly believe that your story is a good story and that somebody will learn something from it. Until next time, you all stay blessed and we'll be back again sometime soon.
Raising brave children.